Okay.
This call is now being recorded.
Good. So let's proceed. Now, for Concord, when we talk about Concord, we are talking about Concord means agreement. Basically, that is just the meaning of Concord. Concord means agreement, to agree. So, agreement between what and what? Concord is the agreement between subject and verb in a sentence. The agreement between subject and verb in a sentence is what is called Concord. Now, without wasting much of our time, let's just proceed into the rule. The first rule of Concord is the most simplest of all the rules. And it says that rule number 1, subject-verb agreement. The verb and subject must agree in number and also in gender. We see that in the next slide. The subject and verb must agree in number. This means that when you have a subject that is singular, the verb should also be singular. And if the subject is plural, you should also use what? A plural verb. Look at the examples I have below. He plays football. He here is a singular subject. And for your verb, it should attract what? A singular verb, not a plural verb. I won't say he play football because in verb, the singular verbs are the one that takes S. Unlike noun, noun is just like the opposite. You know, in noun, when you talk about singular, it doesn't take an S. But when you say plural, it takes S. But for verb, the singular takes S, while the plural doesn't. The singular verbs take S, while the plural verbs do not take S. They do not take S, the plural verbs. So when you have he is singular subject, it should take a singular verb. That is why I have plays there. He sings a lot. Enjoys skating, not enjoyed skating. Now, I have the second example here. They play football. Look at the difference now. He plays football, and the second one is they play football. They indicating what? Plural subject. Your plural subject must agree with your plural verb. So you won't say they plays football. No. Plays is singular, and it must attract what? A singular subject. While play is plural, and that should go with what? A plural verb. Let's move to the next one. Now, still under subject-verb agreement, your verb and subject should also agree in number. They should agree in what? In number. That is, oh, I think I have this duplicated. Okay. When you have the subject to be singular, the verb should be singular. And if your subject is plural, the verb should be plural. So look at these examples also. I have Sade loves pets. Singular subject, singular verb. Sade is the subject there. Loves is the verb I have here. The women love him. The women love him, not the women loves him now. Because the women here is indicating a plural subject. That is more than one woman. Love him. That is a plural verb there. Now, the next rule I have is the proximity concord rule. The proximity rule. When we say proximity, proximity means nearness or closeness. Nearness or closeness is proximity. The meaning of proximity is nearness or closeness. Now, what does this rule state? It states that when you have two or more subjects that are joined by the correlative coordinators. What are the correlative coordinators? They are either or neither no. The subject that is closest to the verb determines the concord. When you have this joining your subjects, when you have two or more subjects in a sentence, please mute yourself. When you have two or more subjects in a sentence joined by the correlative coordinator, even though they are not joined by the correlative coordinator, they can be joined, they could be joined or not. If you have two or more subjects, the one that is near to the gap or near to the space you need to fill will determine the type of verb to be used. Now, look at this. The first one, if the nearest subject is singular, a singular verb follows. Either the teacher or the senior prefect flogs latecomers. Now, you would agree with me that in this sentence, I have two subjects here. I have the teacher and I have the senior prefect. Following the rule of proximity, the one that is near to the what is it called? To the gap. Let's assume I do not have flogs here. I only have flogs to be part of the option. I have a gap here. the one that will determine the verb to choose to fill in the gap with will be the one that is close to the gap. It is not the teacher that we determine. It is the nearest. That is why we call it proximity. The one that is close to the gap will determine the type of verb to use. In this case, it is going to be the senior prefect flogged latecomers, although the other one too, which is the teacher, is also a singular subject. But it is not the teacher that determines the type of verb to use. It is the one that is close to the gap that determines the type of verb to use. And in this case, the senior prefect determines the type of verb to use. And that is why I have flogs, which is a singular verb. B, if the nearest subject is plural, a plural verb follows. If the nearest subject is plural, a plural verb follows. Neither the principal nor the teachers come to school on time. Neither the principal nor the teachers come to school on time. If you look at this also, I have the principal and I also have the teachers. The principal is a subject here. The teachers is also a subject here. Following the rule of proximity, the one that is near to the gap will determine the type of verb to be used. In this case, the teachers is the one that is near to the gap. The subject near to the gap here is the teachers, so that the gap will be filled in with a plural subject. Remember, your plural subject do not take, plural verb. Your plural verb do not take S. In this case, you have come instead of comes. Neither the principal nor the teachers come to school on time. The principal will not be the one to determine it because it is far away from the gap. It is the one that is close to the gap that will determine the type of verb to be used. Are we together? Let's move to the next rule. In the next rule, we have pair off. Pair off. The next rule is talking about what? Pair off. Pair off Concord. Whenever pair off is added to the summation plural, what are the summation plural? When we say summation plural, there are those things that appear as pair. They come in pair. For example, your scissors now. Scissors come in pair. If you look at it, you cannot take out one of the, what is it called? One of the I don't know what to call it. You cannot take out one of it and say that you still have the scissors because it is not going to work. The same thing goes with what? With your trousers. You can't take out one part of your trousers now and say that, oh, it still has two legs. It has two legs now. I can still put my second leg in the other one. No, it is not possible. You can't put your second leg in the other one because it is not there. So those things, they work in pair. When you have such summation plural, and pair of is used with the summation plural. When you have pair of used with the summation plural, it attracts a singular verb. For example, the pair of trousers looks dirty. Although here you have it to be trousers, but that doesn't mean that you should use a plural verb because the pair of is already used with it. Pair of is already used with it. Let's assume that you do not have pair of here. You are going to have your what is it called? Plural verb used with it. If you do not have pair of, for example, the trousers look dirty. The trousers look dirty. If you have it to be what? Just trousers without pair of. But because you have pair of here, you are going to have it to be a singular verb. The pair of trousers looks dirty. A pair of scissors lies on the table, not lie, lies on the table. A pair of shoes is under my bed, not a pair of shoes are under my bed. But if you have it to be the shoes are under my bed because you do not have pair of attached to it. Whenever you have pair of attached to it, that is when you use this rule. If you do not have pair of attached to it, you do not use this rule. You can only use this rule when pair of is attached to it. Let's move to the next one. The next rule we'll be looking at today is the mandative subjunctive concord. We'll be looking at mandative subjunctive concord. When we say mandative subjunctive concord, we mean when recommendation, resolution, demand, wish, suggestion, or prayer is involved in a sentence. I'll go again. When recommendation, resolution, demand, wish, suggestion, or prayer is involved in a sentence, plural verb should be used. That is why you have God bless you and not God blesses you. That is why you have I pray that God help you, because here you are talking about prayer, not I pray that God helps you. God help you. Why? If somebody should ask you, why are you always typing God bless you? God, it is singular. It should attract a singular verb, and that should be blesses. You tell the person no. Under mandative, subjunctive, concord, when you have recommendation, resolution, demand, suggestion, prayer, or wish, it should attract a plural verb and not a singular verb. So here now you have, it has been recommended that he go away. It has been recommended that he go away. Now, if you look at go is plural. They go to school every day. She goes to school. Goes is singular. Go is plural. Why are we using plural here? It is because under the rule of mandative subjunctive, we have this sentence to fall under recommendation. And so it should attract a plural verb. The second example you have here, you have, I pray that God help you. I pray that God help you. With the man she pay our money. With the man she pay our money. It is not we that makes it to be pay. No. What makes this thing to be pay is the demand that you have in that sentence. Demand and not we. Don't say, it's because of we. That is why we have it to be plural. No. It is not because of we, the subject there. It is because of what? Demand. Demand, following the rule of what? Mandative, subjunctive, concord. Okay, let's move to the next one. This looks like a lot, but just relax. It is not. Notional concord. When we say notional concord, we are talking about collective noun concord. Now, the principle of notional concord holds with collective nouns, just like you have it in the bracket there. Collective noun concord. What is this thing called notional concord? When you use collective nouns, I know you know what collective nouns are. Collective nouns are names that you use what for when you have a group of people and you don't want to start naming them one after the other. Collective noun is the name you use. For example, you have team, a team of players, a committee of this, a congregation of kiniko. So when collective nouns like committee, club, choir, audience, congregation, you have so many collective nouns. When they are used, they can either take singular or plural verbs, depending on how they are used. Collective nouns can either take what? Singular or plural verb, depending on how they are used. Now, let's see. When does it take a singular verb and when does it take a plural verb? The rule is that when you have the collective noun performing an action, when the collective noun is performing an action there, it should take a plural verb. When the collective noun is performing an action, it should take what? A plural verb. But if no action is involved, it should take a singular verb. Another thing is, when the collective noun is seen as one, when it is regarded as one, it should take what? A plural verb. But if it is regarded as what? As individual, you should have it to be otherwise. What do I mean by that? Let's see. In this example, I have the club is 30 years old today. The club is 30 years old today. In this case, I have is. It should be is, please. The club is 30 years old, not Smith. The club is 30 years old. Here now, the club is not showing any action here. You don't have any action shown. I think you have an error here. There is no action shown here. It is just telling us about the state of being of that club. The club is 30 years today. So if it does not show any action, it should be a singular verb. If it does not show any action, it should take a singular verb. Look at the next one. I have the audience is quite large. The audience is quite large. Here also, the audience is not taking any action. Rather, it is showing the state of being of the audience. The audience is quite large. It is not showing any action. But look at the second example. I have the audience were clapping their hands. Here I have an action involved, which is the act of clapping. The audience were clapping their hands. Here they are performing an action. Therefore, it should attract a plural verb and not a singular verb. The next rule I have there is the parenthesis concord. When I have parentheses in Concord, what does this mean? Parentheses in Concord means that when you say a parenthetic expression, it is just like an additional information, which, if removed, doesn't render the sentence useless. Parenthetic expression, when you have a parenthetic expression, they are just like expressions that bring in additional information to the sentence. Their removal is going to cost nothing. It is not going to change the meaning of the sentence. The sentence will still remain intact. It will still retain its meaning. So when you have such additional information, what should determine the verb to be used? What should determine the verb should not be the parenthetic statement itself. No. The additional information should not determine the verb to be used. Rather, it is the statement that comes before it that should determine the verb to be used. When you have a parenthetic statement, what do I mean by that? I mean statement that entails additional information. It is just additional information to what you already have in the sentence. Removal of this parenthetic statement will not render the sentence useless. So when you have such sentence that has parenthetic information in it, it is the statement that comes before the parenthetic information that should determine the verb to be used. In that case, if the statement before the parenthetic information if it is singular, then it should take a singular verb. And if it is plural, it should take the plural verb. Now, let's buttress this point with the following example. I have the members of the National Assembly, not the president of the country, the members of the National Assembly, not the president of the country, are also to blame for now, if you look at not the president of the country, not the president of the country. If you look at not the president of the country, the removal of not the president of the country will not render the statement useless. Will it? I want you to look at the statement itself. Will the removal of not the president of the country, will its removal render the statement useless? It definitely will not. It won't. So if you remove it, you still have the members of the National Assembly are also to blame for our economic woes. So here now, the statement before that additional information will be the one to determine the type of verb to be used and not the additional information. This is the continuation of the example. The salesman, look at it now. The salesman, not many of his representatives. The salesman, not many of his representatives, is here. Why do I have is when I have representatives? The reason is because not many of his representatives is just an additional information. The salesman is the one that will determine the verb to be used. The salesman is here now. Is enough itself without the addition of not many of his representatives. Now look at the third example. The employees as well as the CEO have an interest in the project's success. The employees as well as the CEO have an interest in the project's success. Here now, the employees will be the one to determine the type of verb to be used, and that is why I have instead of has. The movie, including all the previews, takes 2 hours. Including all the previews is just an additional information there. The main statement is the movie takes 2 hours. And here you have takes, which is what? Singular and not what is it called? Take, because you are talking about the movie. The movie is the one that will determine the type of verb to be used. Is this clear, learners? Can we proceed? Are we together? Are we on the same page? Are you enjoying this marriage? I think I am enjoying it, just that there won't be item 7. Item 7 is missing here. That is the only thing I am missing. But this marriage between subject and verb called concord, I am really enjoying it. Let's proceed. Now, another one I have here is indefinite pronoun concord. Indefinite pronoun concord. When we say indefinite, indefinite is just the opposite of what? Definite. Indefinite means that those pronouns that do not refer to, they do not refer to anyone in particular. Indefinite pronouns are pronouns that do not refer to anyone in particular. It doesn't refer to any person, anybody, or anything in particular. So when you have pronouns ending in body, thing, and one, those are examples of what? Indefinite pronoun. Usna, usna, please. Thank you. Thank you for that. Okay. So we have somebody, anything, no one, everybody, nothing, nobody, nowhere, etc. Let's see some examples here. Remember, we said that it should take what? It should take singular verb. Whenever you use indefinite pronoun, the rule says that it should take a singular verb. Let's see some examples here. Example number 1. Everybody in the class is hungry. I won't say because I have everybody now. Everybody, we are like 100. It should be hungry. No, remember the rule of this concord. When you use indefinite pronoun, then it should follow what? A singular verb. A singular verb should be used with it. Everybody in this class is hungry. No one was present. Not no one were present. No one was present. Everything has been done. Everything has been done. Something seems fishy. Something seems fishy. Nobody knows tomorrow. Not nobody knows tomorrow. Or you say no one knows tomorrow. In fact, you're supposed to, when you hear someone say that, you're supposed to correct the person that, oh no, under what? Under the rule of concord, indefinite pronoun rule says that whenever you use indefinite pronoun, it should attract a singular verb and not a plural verb. Okay, can we proceed? All right. Now, rule number 8 is on double title subject concord. Double title subject concord. When we say double title, what do we mean? Double title subject concord is just talking about when you have double title, but it refers to just a single person. For example, now, our English teacher and class monitor. I don't know if you know that I am your class monitor. I am the class progress monitor, and I am proud to be our English teacher and class progress monitor. So that is just like a single body wearing two hats. A single body wearing two hats. You know, I am a single entity now, and I am holding two positions. I hold two positions in this prestigious academy. So I have, when you have double title like that, it's just like now you are the big sister and you're also the first female child. My big sister and first female child is here. That big sister is also the first female child. Just the single person taking what? Two positions there. Just a single person taking what? Two positions. Now we have when and joins two or more subjects together that refer to only one person or entity. A singular verb follows. When and joins two or more subjects together, but these two or more subjects that are joined together by and refers to just a single person. A singular verb should be used. Let's see some examples under this. Our principal and pastor of Heroes of Faith Church knows me very well. Our principal and pastor of Heroes of Faith Church knows me very well. Now, it should be noted here that our principal is also the same person as the pastor of Heroes of Faith Church. Not two different people now. I am talking about just a single person. A single person holding more than one position. Our principal, this man is the same person that is acting as our principal in school and is also the one that works as a pastor or is the pastor of Heroes of Faith Church. Knows me, a singular verb. Knows. Okay, can we continue? Adebimpe Rocky, you're already sharing what tafsir with us. Because we don't have item 7. All right, so we have our principal, which also doubles as the pastor of Heroes of Faith Church, knows me very well, not know me, because the principal is also the same person as the pastor. Just a single person. The second example, the president and minister of petroleum is coming tomorrow. Here, the president also doubles as what? The minister of petroleum. Now, don't confuse this rule for the case where you have what is it called? Where you have the definite article the coming before the two subjects. For example, the teacher and the proprietor are here. The teacher and the proprietor are here. In this case, the teacher is different from the proprietor. If the proprietor is the same person as the teacher, you are just going to have one definite article there, the teacher and proprietor. But in this case, the teacher is different from the proprietor. So you have it to be the teacher and the proprietor. Now you are not going to use a singular verb anymore because it doesn't follow this rule. You have to use a because there now you have plural subjects. I'll repeat this. When you have a definite article, when you have definite article coming before the two subjects in that sentence, it does not attract a singular verb anymore. It doesn't follow this rule. Rather, a plural verb should be used because now you have two different entities. My mother and the librarian, my mother and the librarian are in the room. This is to tell you that my mother is different from the librarian. If I should say my mother and librarian is in the room, that means that my mother is the same person as that librarian I am talking about. But when you have when you have different things preceding it, my mother and the librarian, it means that my mother is different from the librarian. And in this case, you should use a plural verb. Is this clear? Can we proceed? Okay, let's proceed. Now, I have another rule here called categorization Concord rule. The categorization Concord rule. What do I mean by categorization? When we talk about categorization, there are some adjectives. You have some adjectives. Sorry for the break in transmission. Okay, categorization Concord. There are some adjectives that denote a group or category of people. When you use this adjective, then the verb used should be plural. When you use this adjective as subject, then the verb used should be what? Plural. Examples of adjective that falls under categorization, we have the poor, the rich, the blind, the helpless, the old, the young, the youth. So when you use those adjectives, then to denote a group or category of people, when you use them to denote a group or category of people, your verb in that case should be a plural verb. For example, the poor need our help. The poor need our help, not the poor needs. The poor need our help. The handicapped are suffering. The handicapped are suffering, not the handicap is suffering. The handicapped are suffering. The young shall grow. The young shall grow. You have, I think I have, there is one company like that. The young shall grow. You have the young shall grow too. But in that case, okay, let's continue, please. The poor need our help. The handicapped are suffering. When you have categorization Concord, it just states that when you have an adjective denoting a group of people, then a plural verb should be used. And this will bring me to answering a question asked by a learner, I think last week or 2 weeks ago. The question reads, why do we say the poor, the needy, and not the poor people, the needy people? Why do we say the poor, the needy, and like that, the least? I think she just used those two, not to, keep typing. Why do we say the poor, the needy, and not the poor people, the needy people, or something like that? This is the reason. Now, when you have the plus adjective, the plus adjective can function as a plural noun. The plus adjective can function as a plural noun that refers to a whole group of people. So when you already have the coming before that adjective, then you are talking about all the people in that category. So you don't need to add people again. When I say the poor, I already intend the poor people. When I say the poor, I already intend the poor people. When I say the needy, what I mean there is the needy people. When I say the blind, what I mean there is the blind people. So this thing already has what? People in it. So you do not add people to that anymore. That is why you have the poor, you have the needy. But when you are talking about just a single person, you do not use the with it. You can have a poor man, a poor woman, a blind girl. You are talking about just that person. Now, not the group. I hope you get this. Do you understand this? Okay, so I think you have your question now. You have your answer. You have your answer now. I think it was Aisha that asked that question. You have your answer now. So that is why you do not say the poor people, the needy people, but you can have it to be a poor girl, a blind boy, a young man. But when you have it to be the poor, the needy, the blind, the lame, the old, the young, the what again? The wealthy, and oh yeah, you can have an ugly girl. An ugly girl. But when you have the ugly, it means that you're already talking about, why did you choose ugly of all things? When you use the before it, you're already talking about what? You're already talking about the group. All right. Okay. Let me answer the second question. I do not want to procrastinate. Let me answer the second question. The second question asked by this learner, she asked the question on why do we say, what is it called? Why do we say the USA? Why do we say the USA and we do not say the Nigeria? Why do we say the USA and not the Nigeria? This is the answer to your question. When we say the USA, this is just under the rule of what? Naming countries. This is under the rule of naming countries. Like I was saying, this is based on what? On rules of, attaching things to country name. When we use the, you use the when the country name is descriptive or when it is plural. When the country name is descriptive or when it is plural. For example, when it contains words like republic, it contains words like Emirates. You say the Arab Emirates, the United Arab Emirates. You have the United Kingdom. So when you have it to contain words like states, like Emirates, like republic, kingdom, then you use the. Also, when it is plural or it describes a group of states or regions, you also use the. The United States of America. So why do we now say the United States? Because a United States it consists of a union of more than 40 states, I think. And the word states there is plural. This United States is describing a collection of states. In other words, you treat it like what? A group. That is why you say the United States. You say the Philippines, the United Arab Emirates, the United Kingdom, the Netherlands. Now, why do we not say the Nigeria? When we say Nigeria, Nigeria is a single proper noun. It is a single proper noun. We simply say Nigeria and not the Nigeria. Why? Because Nigeria is a single proper noun. It is not plural. It is not describing a group. It does not contain words like state, kingdom, Emirates, republic, and all of that. It doesn't contain that. So that is why you cannot, it doesn't contain words like state, like kingdom, like all of those ones I mentioned earlier. So it is just a single proper noun. And that is why you say Nigeria. It is not descriptive. And it is not talking about plural. It is just a single entity. So when you have it to be just one proper country name and it is not describing anything, then you just use it as that. You call the name of the country, Chakam, like that. But when it is describing and it contains words like state, like kingdom, like Emirates, as we've said earlier, then you use the with it. So we say the USA because the USA means the United States of America. But we say Nigeria because Nigeria is not describing anything now. It is not the Nigeria Kinikon of Kinikon. So it is just Nigeria. Okay, do we have any question? Any question for me before we call it a day? Any question before we call it a day? If you have a question, kindly type your question in the in-call messages box. If you have a question, kindly type your question in the in-call messages box. I am waiting for your questions. Ask questions, learners, ask questions. I said ask question. I mean, Wantum. Ask question. I want you to ask questions. Before I ask my own question, I already gave out rules now. So I'll definitely throw out some questions. But before I ask my question, ask your own questions. Okay, oh. I'm still waiting. Benny Beko is not in class today. Benny Beko, are you in class? Okay. In the absence of question, let me ask my questions. Can you all see my screen? Okay, let's wait for it to come up. You should see it now. How do we make sure pronouns agree with their antecedents? Okay, question number 1. Okay, Elena asked that, how do we ensure that pronouns agree with their antecedents? Now, let's start with, what do we mean by antecedents? Because no one is an island of knowledge. Somebody here might be thinking, what is antecedent like this? Me, I don't know. Is it the auntie that had accident? So when we say antecedent, antecedent is the noun or noun phrase that a pronoun refers to. A word that the pronoun is talking about, that is just the antecedent. For example, Mary lost her phone. Mary lost her phone. Or Mary lost her little lamb. You know, Mary has a little lamb. So Mary lost her little lamb. In this case, her is the pronoun and the antecedent is Mary. This is the antecedent. So antecedent is the noun or noun phrase that a pronoun refers to. The antecedent is the noun or noun phrase that a pronoun refers to. When I say now, this is just a single noun. Mary is just a single noun. Let's see, for noun phrase, we have the student finished their assignment. In this case, the student is a noun phrase, which is acting as the antecedent. It is the antecedent here. And the pronoun here is this, P for pronoun. Antecedent is just the noun or noun phrase that the pronoun refers to. So now, how do we ensure that our antecedents, how did she say it again? How do we ensure that, I can't see your screen. Who else cannot see my screen, please? I am sharing my screen. Who else cannot see my screen? Who else cannot see my screen? If you can't see my screen, please rejoin the class. Oh, we all can see except her. We all can see except her. Okay, please rejoin the class. And Husna, you cannot just generalize. You don't know if maybe someone else cannot also see, and the person just decides to remain silent. You can rejoin the class. Please, Khadija, mute yourself. Thank you. Okay. How do we make sure pronoun agree with their antecedents? Just please mute yourself. To ensure that your pronoun agree with the antecedents, you need to look at it properly. It must agree in number. When you have a singular noun, a singular pronoun should be used. For example, in Mary lost her little lamb, you can see Mary is just a singular noun. Her is also a singular pronoun. I won't say Mary lost their little lamb because Mary is just a single person. Sister Khadija, please mute yourself. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So your pronoun must agree with the antecedents in number. If the pronoun is singular, if the antecedent is singular, the pronoun should be singular. If the antecedent is plural, the pronoun should be plural. In the case of the second question, I have the students finish their assignment. So you can see here, the students, plural, finish their assignment. I won't say the students finished his assignment because it is a singular, it is a plural word antecedent now. It should attract a plural pronoun. It should also be the same with gender. When your antecedent is masculine, then the pronoun used should be masculine too. Mary lost her little lamb, not Mary lost his little lamb, because I have never seen a male that answers Mary. I've never seen a male that is called Mary. Brother Mary. No, it is not possible. So when you have your antecedents to be masculine, that is, if it is a male, you should use the pronoun that is also talking about masculine. If it is a female, you should also use a pronoun that is talking about what? Feminine. Now, it should also agree in person. Are you talking about the first person? Are you talking about the second person or the third person? You know, when you talk about personal pronoun, you have the first person, which is the speaker. You have the second person, which is the person being spoken to. And you have the third person, which is the person or thing being spoken about. So agreement in person now. If you have it to be a single person, like in the first person case now, when you have it to be in the first person case, then the pronoun that will be used in that case should also be what? Should also be in the first person. For example, if I decide to change Mary also to a pronoun, it is going to be she. If I decide to change Mary to a pronoun, it is going to be she. And this is in the third person. So if you want to use any pronoun for it, it should also be a pronoun in the third person. She lost her little lamb. She lost her little lamb. Have I answered your question? So your antecedents must agree with pronoun in number, in gender, and in person. Any other question before we call it a class? Before we call it a day? Okay, before we call it a day, let me quickly ask my own question. I think I will be able to ask just one question before the end of the class. Okay, I have my question. Our principal and chairman of the occasion, Dash, just arrived. Option A, I have has. Option B, I have having. Option C, have. Option D, had. Which is the right answer? Our principal and chairman of the occasion dash just arrived. Somebody chose option C. Ali Dayat, you chose option C. You chose option C. After all the explanation, you went ahead to pick option C. No, it's thought for you today. I already mentioned that this is under double title subject Concord. Who's Nareni? Do you know her? Why are you speaking on her behalf? I am going to come to your place, Usna Reni. I'll come to your place to enter your nose. Okay, we already said it under double title subject Concord. When you have this principal is the same as the chairman now. How did you know? How did I know what? Okay, you are talking to Usna Reni. And now look at my learners. You are still abbreviating in my class. You are not even scared to abbreviate in my class. Oh God. Please do not make my work go in vain. Learners, stop abbreviating. It won't take you anything to type in full. You won't be surprised that this thing, you just get to, okay, don't let me say anything. You want to write official letter now, you still abbreviate there. Our principal and chairman of the occasion dash just arrived. This is under double title subject Concord. Our principal and chairman, this hour is talking about the principal. The principal is also the same person as the chairman. But if you have it to be our principal and the chairman, for example now, it means that you are talking about two different entities. But because you don't have this, the absence of this already gives a clue that this principal is also the same person as the chairman. And when you have this, you should use a singular verb. And in this case, you have the word has to be the right answer to this question. With this, we call it a day for today. And we'll see in the next class by the grace of God. If you have a question, you can drop your question in the group, then I'll just answer the question in the channel. So whatever question is dropped in the group now, I will always answer it in the channels. That is to ensure that you check everything going on there. I'll see you in the next one to continue. This marriage is a long one. It is not about marrying more than a wife. It is just a single wife, but now it is a long one. It is a long one. So we'll continue with the remaining rules in the next class by the grace of God. All right. Be good. Read as if you've never prayed and pray as if you've never read. No, it's not forever. The rule will come to an end. Thank you. Thank you. See you in the next one and bye.
جزاكم الله خيرا. جزاكم الله خيرا.
آمين وأنتم جزاكم الله خيرا.